Welcome back, everyone. I gotta say, the sources you sent in this week had me all over the place. Art, music, marketing, even disaster relief.
Quite the mix.
Yeah, a real grab bag. But as I dug in, you know what? This fascinating theme just kind of jumped out at me. This deep human need to connect, to belong.
That's everywhere, isn't it?
It really is. And it pops up in the most unexpected places, which is exactly what we're going to dive into today.
We'll uncover some pretty surprising stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like, why do certain actors become huge stars, right?
Yeah.
And how do brands like Harley Davidson manage to, like, really hook us? I think it all comes back to this craving for connection.
It's more powerful than we realize.
Totally. So where do we even begin with all of this?
Well, how about we start with something maybe a little unexpected? Iconic American paintings.
Okay, now you've got my attention. I mean, paintings.
Uh,
What do those have to do with belonging?
well, let's take a look. Think about American Gothic, Whistler's Mother, Christina's World. I mean, these are considered masterpieces, right?
Right.
But there's this interesting thread running through them.
What's that?
Isolation. Each one depicts a sense of isolation.
Huh. You know, now that you mention it, you're right. The farmer and his daughter in American Gothic. I mean, yeah, they're physically close, but their expressions are so stern, like distant almost.
Exactly. And Christina, all alone in that huge field, there's this real sense of solitude, maybe even loneliness.
It's almost unsettling.
And it goes deeper than that. It actually taps into a very primal fear,
Mm.
being alone. Research shows it's one of the biggest fears for many Americans.
Wow. So you're saying these paintings, they resonate with us because they're tapping into something universal, like this human experience of feeling isolated even when you're surrounded by other people?
Exactly. It's like they're giving a visual voice to a feeling we all have, but
Yeah.
don't always talk about.
I like that, a visual voice. Okay, so we've got art reflecting this need for connection. What about music?
Well, music is even more direct. I mean, think about some of the biggest hits across all these different genres. You've got like a Rolling Stone, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, Only the Lonely, Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah, huge songs.
And they all kind of circle around this same idea, longing for connection.
It's funny, though, they're not just sad songs.
No,
They're powerful. And I think that's part of it. Like that raw emotion makes you feel less alone. Like someone else out there gets it.
that's exactly it. Music gives us this way to connect, to feel seen in our emotions, those feelings of loneliness and longing. It says, hey, you're not alone in this.
And sometimes a song just nails it so perfectly. It's like, that's exactly how I feel. Okay, let's shift gears for a second. Let's talk about compassion.
Interesting jump,
Hmm.
but I like it.
So think about how Americans respond to global crises. Something like the 2004 tsunami in Indonesia. I mean, the images were just devastating, but then you saw this incredible outpouring of support. Millions of dollars donated, people volunteering their time. Even celebrities like George Clooney organized these huge benefit concerts.
It's pretty remarkable.
It is. It almost challenges that stereotype of, Americans being self-centered.
Yeah, it's like in times of need, you see this wave of compassion.
So how does all of that tie back to our need for connection?
Well, compassion is about, suffering with others. At its core, it's about recognizing that shared humanity, right? By helping those in need, we're actually connecting on this deeper level.
Bridging that distance, reminding ourselves that we're all part of something bigger.
That's it.
Okay, I'm seeing the thread here, but how does this all play out in something like Hollywood?
Hollywood. Let's focus on something specific. Let's look at the physical characteristics of some of America's most beloved actors. Think Harrison Ford, Adam Sandler, Will Smith. What do they all have in common?
Okay, I think I see where you're going with this. A lot of them are super successful, but they don't exactly fit that classic tall, dark, and handsome mold.
Exactly. It's interesting, right? We're drawn to actors who seem relatable, like us.
Yeah, every man.
Right. They might have flaws, average looks. They often even play characters who are just like ordinary people.
Like, I remember when Tom Hanks talked about being a total nerd in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Made him even cooler in my book. I think that's what it is, right? These stars, they don't feel so untouchable, so
Perfect.
they're humanized.
Yeah. And that makes us connect with them more. It's like, hey, they're just like us, even if they are on the big screen.
Exactly. It reinforces our need for relatability.
Okay, this is fascinating, but let's bring it back down to earth a bit.
Mhm.
How does this all relate to something like marketing? Have you ever wondered why bestseller lists are so effective?
Oh, totally. I'm super guilty of buying a book just because it was most popular. Why do we do that?
Well, there's this thing called the wisdom of crowds, the idea that, groups can actually make surprisingly good decisions. But it's more than that. It's also our desire to belong.
Right.
We see other people buying something, and our brains kind of go, wait, I don't want to be left out.
That fear of missing out, FOMO.
Exactly. And marketers know this. Think about Roger Horcher's catalog. That phrase, our most popular, it was marketing genius.
It is brilliant. So simple. It's like it's tapping right into that desire to be part of the in crowd.
Exactly. And it just goes to show how much our need to connect can influence the choices we make.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like this need for a connection is everywhere. But doesn't this desire to belong also have a downside?
I
Can it be harmful?
Oh, yeah. It can definitely be exploited. We see it all the time in marketing tactics that, try to create this fear of missing out. Limited edition this, most popular that. But it goes even deeper than that.
Like what?
Well, think about social media. Social media can be amazing for connecting with people, right?
Sure.
But it also creates this pressure, right? To compare ourselves to others, to get validation through likes and followers, all that stuff.
It's such a trap.
Right. And it can lead to some pretty negative stuff like anxiety, even depression. I think the key is to be mindful. Why are you seeking connection? Is it coming from a genuine place?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you just chasing validation?
It's like, do you actually want to be part of this group because you like the same things? Or is it just because it seems cool or trendy?
Right. And it's about being selective, too. Who are you connecting with? Are these relationships that are actually good for you, that give you joy and support? Or are they just draining?
So it's not just about how many connections you have, but also the quality of those connections.
Yeah, and finding that balance between your online life and your offline life. I mean, social media can be a great tool, but it shouldn't be the only way you connect with people.
Right. Don't forget those real life conversations.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack here, but it's really eye-opening. It's making me rethink a lot of things, even just in my own life.
That's a good thing, right? Becoming aware of this need for connection can really change how you see the world and how you interact with it.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. We've gone from art to music to compassion, even marketing.
Quite the journey.
Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, is there anything else you want to add?
Actually, there is. There's one more piece of the puzzle. It's this whole thing about our fascination with celebrities and how that ties into our need for connection.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued.
Remember that list of high-earning actors we were talking about? The ones who don't fit that stereotypical image of a leading man?
Yep, the relatable guys.
Right. Now think about this. Americans love celebrity gossip.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. I plead guilty.
But here's the thing. It's not just about the juicy details.
Okay.
There's something deeper going on. We're drawn to celebrity gossip because it brings these larger-than-life figures down to our level.
It humanizes them.
Exactly. When we hear about their struggles, their flaws, their very public meltdowns, it makes them seem less like, untouchable gods and more like us.
It's comforting, isn't it? Like
No.
to know that even rich and famous have problems.
It is.
Yeah.
And it reinforces our need for connection.
Hmm.
When we see their vulnerabilities, it's like we're saying, hey, they're not so different from us after all. We're all in this together.
And their publicists, I mean, they play into this, right?
All the time.
Like dressing them down, making them seem more approachable.
Absolutely. It's all about creating a relatable persona. A persona that says, hey, I might be a movie star, but I'm still a regular person.
Which makes us feel connected to them.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that fundamental human need to belong, to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
So even our fascination with something like gossip can be traced back to this need for connection.
It's woven into the fabric of everything. It influences our choices, our perceptions, how we see ourselves in the world.
It's like a whole new way of looking at things.
And understanding that can be incredibly powerful.
It really can. Okay, so we've explored this need for connection in all sorts of ways. But is there a downside? I mean, can this desire to belong be harmful?
Oh, absolutely.
How so?
Well, while this need is essential for us, it can definitely be exploited, right? We see this in marketing all the time. They use our desire to belong to influence what we buy.
Like those our most popular tags we were talking about.
Exactly. But it goes beyond just marketing. Think about social media, for example.
Okay.
It's created these incredible opportunities for connection, but it's also created this increased social pressure. This fear of missing out.
It's a constant comparison game. Like, we're always trying to keep up with everyone else, even if it's just their curated online personas.
And that can be really damaging to our self-esteem.
So how do we find a healthy balance then? How do we satisfy that need to connect without falling into these traps?
It's all about being mindful. Really ask yourself,
Hmm.
why are you seeking connection? Is it coming from a genuine need to belong? Or is it more about external pressure, about wanting validation?
So it's the difference between wanting to be part of a community because you genuinely share their values
Right.
versus wanting to be part of a group just because they're cool or trendy.
Exactly. And it's about being selective with your choices.
Yeah.
Who are you connecting with? Are these people who actually bring you joy and support you? Or are they just draining you?
So it's not just about the quantity of connections, it's about the quality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And finding that balance between your online life and your offline life is key.
Yeah.
Social media can be great for keeping in touch, but it should never replace real life interactions. Those face-to-face conversations are so important.
It's all about moderation, right? Like with anything else.
Exactly. And recognizing your own worth, independent of what other people think. Your sense of belonging shouldn't come from likes or followers. It should come from within.
I like that. Finding that inner sense of wholeness and then seeking out connections that complement that.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, this is a lot to process, but I'm really feeling inspired. Like, I want to be more intentional about the connections in my life.
And that's the first step. Awareness is key.
So what are some practical things we can all do to cultivate those healthy, meaningful connections?
It starts with the small things, honestly.
Yeah.
Make an effort to call a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Put your phone away during dinner and have a real conversation. Join a book club, a hiking group, volunteer.
Simple things, but they make a big difference.
They really do.
And maybe just be more open to meeting new people. You never know where you'll find that next meaningful connection.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. Sometimes the most rewarding connections come from the most unexpected places.
So be proactive, put yourself out there, and be open to new possibilities.
Exactly. And remember, connection is a two-way street. It's about giving as much as you receive. Be present, be engaged, and really listen to the people around you.
This is such great advice. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of this need for connection.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is.
How all these seemingly unrelated things are actually deeply connected.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're getting close to the end of this first part of our deep dive, but before we wrap things up, is there one final takeaway you want to leave our listeners with?
You know what? Yes, there is. And it's this. In a world that often feels increasingly isolating, it's more important than ever to prioritize connection.
It's true.
We need to remember that we're not alone in this journey called life.
Absolutely.
And when we cultivate meaningful connections, we don't just enrich our own lives.
Right.
We make the world a better place.
Beautifully said. Well, this has been an incredible conversation.
It has. And there's still so much more to explore.
Exactly. We've only just scratched the surface, but we'll dive deeper into all of this in our next two parts.
Can't wait.
So until then, stay curious and connected.
And keep those sources coming. We love hearing from you.
As we're talking about this, it makes me think about those third places. The spaces that aren't home or work, but like where people gather and connect. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, those are fascinating. And it ties in perfectly with what we're talking about. I mean, think about a place like Panera Bread.
Okay, yeah. They've got that like delicious bread smell. And I remember they were like one of the first places to offer free Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant, really. Ron Shaich, the co-founder of Panera, he really understood this human need to connect. Like, he designed his restaurants to be more than just places to eat.
Right.
The comfy seating, the smell of baking bread, the free Wi-Fi, all of that. It encourages people to linger, to talk, to feel like they're part of a community.
It's like they created this casual, welcoming space, a place where people can relax and connect. And it's not their home, it's not work.
Exactly. And it worked. I mean, their success proves the point. Panera's sales, they consistently outperformed the industry average.
Even during tough times.
Even then. It shows you how powerful this need is. People crave connection, and they're willing to spend money in places that cater to that need.
It's true. Okay, so we've talked about creating a sense of belonging, but you mentioned earlier how how we have this kind of complicated relationship with familiarity, like we crave it, but we can also get tired of it really quickly. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Think about it this way. When you hear a new song for the first time, you might not love it right away. But then after a few listens, it starts to grow on you.
Oh, totally. The more familiar it becomes, the more I enjoy it. I've had that with songs, with movies, even with certain foods.
It's the same with fashion trends, with books, even with ideas. What was once strange or weird can actually become, comforting and enjoyable once you get used to it. It's like we need that initial exposure to warm up to something new.
And that ties back to our need for connection, right? The familiar, it feels safe.
Safe, predictable.
Yeah, like a comfortable pair of jeans.
Exactly.
But what happens when the familiar becomes too familiar?
That's when things get really interesting. Let's go back to that example of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. When it first came out, audiences were kind of put off by it.
Really?
Yeah, they thought the characters were abrasive, the situations were unconventional.
Huh, I wouldn't have guessed that.
But then, as people got more familiar with the show, with its style, it became incredibly popular. What was once off-putting became endearing.
So the show's weakness, the fact that it was unfamiliar, that actually became its strength.
Exactly. But then, as we talked about, it eventually declined in popularity.
And why was that?
Because those things that made it unique, those abrasive characters, those unusual situations, they became commonplace. Other shows started doing similar things, and the Mary Tyler Moore Show lost its edge. That familiar thing that was once new and different, it became, predictable and eventually less interesting.
It's like this constant cycle, right? We're drawn to new things, but once that newness wears off, we're on to the next thing, always searching.
That's exactly it. And understanding this cycle is so important, I think, whether you're, making TV shows or music or marketing products, or even just navigating your own life.
So how can we, as individuals use this information? How do we manage that pull between, the comfort of the familiar and the excitement of the new?
I think awareness is key, honestly. If you can recognize this tension, this back and forth between novelty and familiarity, then you can be a more conscious consumer.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean of products, I mean of everything. Experiences, relationships, ideas. Ask yourself, why are you drawn to something? Is it filling a genuine need? Or are you just, chasing the next shiny object?
So take a step back, evaluate your motivations. I like that. But what about those times when we're feeling disconnected? What are some practical steps we can take to build those genuine connections, the meaningful ones?
It really starts with small intentional actions. Make a point of calling a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Put your phone away when you're having dinner and actually
Right.
talk to the people you're with, face to face. Join a club, a hiking group, volunteer. Find something that speaks to your interests, your values.
Those are all great ideas. Sometimes we just need those little reminders to make the effort.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life.
Definitely. Any other thoughts?
Just one more. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone a little. Sometimes the most unexpected encounters lead to the most amazing connections. Strike up a conversation with someone new at the coffee shop, take a class on something you've always wanted to learn, say yes to that invitation that makes you a little nervous.
I love that. Get out there, explore. Okay, this has been such a fascinating conversation. It's really made me think about connection in a whole new way.
I'm glad to hear that.
And you know what? It's amazing how this theme has just woven its way through everything we've discussed today.
It really has, from art and music to marketing and compassion.
Yeah.
It's like this invisible thread connecting it all.
It's true. Well, we're getting close to the end of this part of our deep dive. Is there a final thought you'd like to leave our listener with? Something to inspire them.
Absolutely. What I really hope our listener takes away from this is a sense of empowerment. The power to recognize the importance of connection, the power to seek out relationships and experiences that feed their soul, and the power to help create a world where everyone feels like they belong.
I love that.
It's not just about understand connection, it's about, actively creating it in our lives and in the world around us.
So well said. And you know what? It's not just about grand gestures. It's about those little moments too. Those moments of genuine connection, recognizing and appreciating the people who bring us joy and support, and then, paying it forward, extending that sense of belonging to others.
That's it. And maybe even challenging ourselves to reach out to those who are different from us, to bridge those divides, to build a more compassionate and inclusive world.
It's those moments, those shared human experiences that really make life worth living.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, this has been an incredible conversation.
It really has. And there's still so much more to explore.
I know, I know. We're just getting started, but we'll have to save the rest for our final part.
Can't wait.
Until then, keep those amazing sources coming. We love hearing from you. And keep exploring those connections that bring you joy. It's just amazing how this whole idea of connection, it's come up in everything we've talked about, from art and music to marketing and even compassion. It really does seem like this driving force in how we experience life.
It is. It's pretty incredible when you think about it. It shows just how fundamental this need to connect is for us.
Yeah.
You know, like it really affects everything. The choices we make, how we act, even how we see the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, is there one final takeaway, something you'd like to leave our listeners with, something that might, spark a new thought or help them see connection in a new way?
Yeah, I think so. I hope our listeners walk away feeling empowered, empowered to see the power of connection in their own lives, to look for those relationships and experiences that make them feel good, that feed their soul, and to help create a world where everyone feels like they belong.
I love that. It's not just about understanding connection, it's about actively making it happen in our own lives and in the world around us.
Exactly. It's about, noticing those moments when you feel truly connected to someone, appreciating the people who bring you joy and support, and then, extending that feeling of belonging to others.
And maybe even challenging ourselves to step outside of our comfort zones, to connect with people who are different from us, to break down those walls and build a more compassionate and inclusive world.
Beautifully said. It's those moments, those moments when we truly connect with other human beings. That's what makes life really come alive.
That's a great way to put it. Well, I want to thank you, dear listener, for joining us on this incredible journey. I hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking, and maybe even, a little bit transformative.
It's been a pleasure diving into this with you.
So until next time, keep searching for those connections that bring you joy. Keep diving deep into those topics that you're curious about, and keep embracing the power of human connection to create a more meaningful and fulfilling life. See you next time.